Greetings, my name is Shanella, and I bring you to the second episode of Challenge Yourself. Now, in the first episode I covered something which is mostly for the tanks and several melee DPS, and I had quite some trouble trying to find a proper challenge on a caster because I went out to the open world, tried Hala, I tried some elite mobs, but didn't really fancy my tickle, and then I came to the results. Karazhan. Now, surprising as it may sound, Karazhan is actually quite challenging if you're a caster, and for the melee tanking and all that, it might be a bit easier. But if you're a caster, this is a perfect challenge to bring yourself, because you have to keep yourself alive, but you also have to keep doing damage to the targets, and, you know, have to find little challenges and CC one or two targets. You know, it's very interesting. Now, I believe several mage classes will have it a bit too easy down here, I'm not too certain, but as it goes for my Shadow Priest and my Warlock, I had a blast going through this, and I sincerely ask you, try it yourself, because this is really worth it. Now, of course, several classes do have advantages going over to the other classes, for example the Warlock, compared to the Shadow Priests. Anyway, so as you play yourself with these caster classes, there are several things you have to keep in mind, which is never overpull. Sometimes you get a bit too certain, and you think to yourself, oh, don't worry, I can take it. You can't. And there are several mobs which do a lot of damage. You either have to burst them down or try and keep them away, you know, CC, something like that. Try to avoid them. But as it goes, most of these bosses are possible. There's only three bosses, which I deem possible for almost every caster class, or well, every caster class, and there's one of those three which is only possible for the Warlock because of the pets, which is a Maiden of Virtue. You know, the constant silence makes it a bit impossible for basically any other caster class except the Warlock. And then you've got Morose, which is just basically too many characters. You can't deal with it. It's impossible, especially with the stealth going on. You instantly die to that, and that's a bit of trouble. And then you've got Nether Spite, but you can basically just skip over that fight. You'll be fine. So I completed the run on my Shadow Priest, and I did half a run on my Warlock, and I have to say this was one of my favorite things to do on my caster that I've found so far, and it might be something else, but I have quite my doubts. So if you have a caster and you want yourself to find a challenge, go out there, go into Karazhan and knock yourself out. You might get lucky, you might get a mount.